Welcome back to the Hockey Cards Gongshow Podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. What's going on, Troy?
You threw me off. You usually say the episode number and everything. Episode 175 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow. I was all confused.
Are you chat GPTing me now? So I subscribed to Chat GPT-4 just to check it out. Was curious. Yep. Want to see what the robots are up to, Troy. And I asked it to write an outline of a segment for our show. And then it did, and it was actually kind of scary good. So I don't know what you and me are for, Troy. And then I thought, I wonder what it'll do. So I asked Chat GPT to revise the segment it wrote for our show in the manner of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. And it was the most ridiculous thing ever. I wanted to immediately bury my head in the sand. Literally the robots think that we're like carnival barking buffoons or something like that. It's like the Tootsie and Hip Hop Show, talk hockey cards.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the heck did it say? Okay, I'm actually gonna look it up really quick.
All I know is that it thought we were I think it thought we were like talking heads screaming at each other the whole time. So everyone can be happy to know we are not using ChatGPT to do the show because it was ridiculous.
So this is what the robots think of our show. The segment was Hockey Cards Gongshow Podcast segment, the Bedard Earthquake Shaking Up 2023-24 Upper Deck Series, not even Series what, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Opening Zinger, Troy. That's a good one. Okay, here we go. This is literally what they think of our show. What's up, puckheads? Strap in, because today we're diving headfirst into the Bedard Bonanza that's flipped the hockey card world upside down. We'll slice through the hype of 23-24 Upper Deck Series 2 release, zeroing in on Connor Bedard Young Gun card, the rookie card that's rewriting the rule book.
Now you're just feeding it, though. You're training it right now. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, I got it right.
Yeah, now here's the Bedard buzz in 2 minutes. The Young Guns legend. First off, why do we care? Young Guns cards, folks, they're like gold in the hobby. And when Bedard's card hit, it wasn't just a splash, it was a tidal wave.
Oh, well, I'm
not going to go
too soon. We can't say tidal wave. Taiwan just had the biggest earthquake in 25 years, and they had.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and they're all worried about tsunamis and stuff. It was crazy.
That literally goes on for 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, whatever, Chat GPT.
I mean, I know that we're prone to hyperbole a little bit, but holy moly, they think that we're crazy or something. Yeah, so we'll keep doing our show for now, and we'll let the robots calm down a little bit. All right, Trey, you got a button bar update? Your fans wanted it.
I did. I was showing you it. Button bar update is I have it. I haven't had time to learn it. I'm trying to learn it. I've done a couple things, but I need a good weekend to watch some YouTube videos and figure it out.
Is there a button bar college we can enroll you in or something?
Maybe. Like that? It seems pretty intuitive. There's a program, you install it. You can drag and drop stuff, multitask or multi-action stuff. It looks pretty. I mean, it seems pretty easy. I just got to see how to do it once and I should be good.
Nice.
Oh,
all right.
No, I got another update. I got to give a shout out. So we got a package. I showed you the package. And I didn't ask the person for to say his full name. So I'm just going to say Craig H. Thank you very much for the package. He sent just an amazing amount. I'm just going to hold them up like this of cards.
Wow.
And they are all
tied to Young Guns?
No, they're all tied to our show and they're all awesome. They're either wild players, goalies, players we mentioned on the show. It is awesome. Very appreciative. Sweet. Yes. Again, no one has to send us a thing, but I am going to start sorting these. And Josh, you can have a couple, but I get the rest. Right. And then a couple packs too. Top Stadium Club and an OPG pack of, I think it was it 90?
Nice.
90. Yeah. So thank you very much, Craig H. Really appreciate it.
I wonder how many Craig H's listen to our show.
I know. The one who sent it's got to know he did, but thank you very much. It was awesome.
Lots to get to today, of course. But before we do, just a quick reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. What does that mean? Well, we really do rely on support from listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and fund initiatives even in a small way to grow the hockey hobby. You can support us for as little as $5 a month. Every supporter is massively appreciated. It's very easy to do. You can join on a $1.99 support level tier. You also get access to our Gong Show Discord server and can chat with the community and us on a daily basis there. There's a link in the show description if you're listening to us on a podcast app, in the YouTube description if you're watching us on YouTube, in our TikTok and Instagram profiles, we have a link. And then also on our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, you can click on the Become a Patron link or just go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com. And then once you're there, search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. All right, man. Ready with the game plan?
All right, Josh. We begin today's show with the almost greatest player to wear number 75. Then it's off to our next installment of Hobby Deep Dive. We follow this up with Hobby News. Next, we take a look at the month of Bedard and just what all has been going on with the Bedard craziness. We finish the show with new product releases, our PWCC Weekly auction, hockey card preview, and any personal pickups. Okay, Josh, previously looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 75 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me is this guy, Josh, Ryan Reaves. We know him.
Nice.
He played for the Wild for a little bit.
Yep.
The other runner-up at number 75 was Leroy Goldsworthy. Every time I read Leroy, I just want to be like, Leroy Jenkins. But it was Leroy Goldsworthy, which sent me down a rabbit hole because coaching at Minnetonka, the boys' head coach is Sean Goldsworthy, whose dad was Bill Goldsworthy, who played for the Minnesota North Stars. And then his daughter is on our team right now. Did a bunch, or I shouldn't say a bunch of research. Took me 2 minutes to find out they were not related. So then I was like, okay.
That was a story that quickly went nowhere.
It went nowhere. So I was like, okay, well, let me compare these two guys, because once I saw Leroy Goldsworthy, I was like, And their stat lines are pretty similar, but I decided to do Reaves as he is a little more relevant today.
Sure.
And a lot of people are pretty familiar with who he is. But Leroy Goldsworthy has a cup. Reaves doesn't have a cup. Surprise, surprise. So but again, I went with Reaves. He's one of those love him or hate him type players. So I thought it'd be good discussion. But here's a fun fact about Leroy Goldsworthy, Josh. Some sources say he was the first Minnesota-born player to play in the NHL. And I think they're saying he was the first Minnesota-born player to play in like the actual NHL when it was called the NHL, when it was established as a league. Because I did find another Minnesota-born player, Roxy Boudreau, who played in the predecessor to the NHL, which was the NHA. And he was also from Minnesota. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It was like, 10 minutes of research, but there we go.
If you're a dude and your name is Roxy Boudreau, you better be tough.
Yeah, you got to be a tough guy. All right. So as a reminder, greatest story number 75 was Hal Gill. So here we go. Ryan Reaves. Forward, Josh, from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Reaves was the 156th overall selection in the 2005 NHL entry draft by the St. Louis Blues. Reaves began his career with 7 seasons with the St. Louis Blues. He then had a short stint with the Pittsburgh Penguins, followed by a little over 3 seasons with the Vegas Golden Knights. He has since then had stints with the Rangers, the Wild, and now his current team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. For his awards and accomplishments, nothing except a bunch of penalty minutes. That's what we get. Lots of penalty minutes. For his career, 62 goals, 72 assists for 134 points. Reaves has made the playoffs in 12 of his 13, or his previous 13 NHL seasons, not counting this year, compiling 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points in 108 NHL playoff games played. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2018-19 season, when Reaves had 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points in 80 games with the Vegas Golden Knights. So our boy, Josh Reaves, known as a physical force when he's on the ice, this surprised me. It says he's 6'2", 225. I thought he was a little bit bigger than that because he is a bowling ball out there when he gets speed. He can skate. I mean, can't skate well, but he can get some speed going. Not afraid to throw his body. Physical presence, mainly in a fourth line role. He's our prototypical enforcer and a dying breed in today's highly skilled NHL game. But who knows if Matt Rempe is going to bring back the enforcer? Did you see the game today between Rangers and who did they play? Devils, I think.
Yeah, like right at the puck drop.
2 seconds in, line brawl.
Yeah, 8 ejections.
gotta
now, did the goalies actually fight?
I didn't see if the goalies fought. I just saw the first couple minutes of the fights, and then I don't think the goalies did, but maybe they did.
The whole Reeves thing is kind of sad to me because you just mentioned the last of a dying breed.
Yeah.
It really does kind of feel that way. Like there's almost no place for him in the NHL anymore. Like I think he gets healthy scratched a fair amount these days. And then the whole Matt Rempe thing is really interesting.
I think there will always be, right now with how the league hands out suspensions, there'll probably always be a little bit of a role for these guys. Not on every team, but on some teams. But once the NHL figures out suspensions, because some of the suspensions they give are so weak that there's really no punishment for some of the cheap shots. So I think they need to figure that out, and then we'll probably see the enforcers go away. But again, a lot of these, like I said before, a long time ago, a lot of the enforcers, you look at their stats when they were in juniors, they actually were pretty decent and could score. Like a lot of them.
You get pigeonholed, and then that's what you become at that point, and then you have to live up to it to feel like you can stay in the league, I think.
Yep, exactly. All right, Reeves has been suspended 3 times during an NHL career, and this surprised me, for a total of 6 games. I thought it'd be a lot more. He has been fined an additional 3 times. Okay, Josh. Reeves still currently playing in the NHL with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This picture cracks me up because he looks like he's grimacing that he's playing for Toronto or something. I don't know what's going on there.
Probably tired skating.
Probably over 5 minutes of shift or 5 minutes playing time. In the current season, Reeves has 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points in 43 games played. All right, fun, interesting facts. Nicknames, we know this. Revo, or also the Grim Reaver. I like that one.
Do you like that one? I think Revo is like, for me.
Well, Revo's the one that, Grim Reavers, I never heard him called until I looked it up. Apologies, I had to cough. Reeves' father played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Canadian Football League. His father moved to Winnipeg from Arizona, which allowed Reeves to be born and grow up in Winnipeg and be introduced to the game of hockey. In Reeves' NHL debut, he racked up 15 penalty minutes, getting a 5-minute major and a 10-minute game misconduct. That's a pretty good debut right there. Sign of things to come.
Yeah.
Not known as a point producer, Reeves did have a huge goal for Vegas in the 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs, scoring the series-winning goal over the Winnipeg Jets, which put the Vegas Golden Knights into the 2018 Stanley Cup final. Last fun fact, Reeves, or I'll call this interesting fact, Reeves is the great grandson of Bass Reeves, a former slave who was the first black lawman west of the Mississippi River and among the first black U.S. deputy marshals. There we go. A little history lesson for everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Simulcast us on the History Channel.
There you go. There we go. Yeah, we need to get simulcast wherever we can. We'll take History Channel. If you're watching on YouTube, his rookie card's up on the screen. 2010 Upper Deck Young Guns, number 493. PSA 10 pop is 14. Gem rate of 52%. Recent sale of this card on March 31st of 2024 via eBay, verified in Terapeak, for $74 US. Card does not sell very frequently, but when it does sell, it's typically in the $70 to $110 US range when it does sell. There we go.
I think he's got like a kind of a cult following, right? Yeah,
agree.
People like them.
Yeah. I know there's always that niche that collects enforcers or big guys, tough guys. So he'll always have a little bit of a hobby following.
I was happy he was on the Wild because I felt like that Kaprizov wouldn't get
killed at that point. Yeah.
Alrighty, Troy. time for another hobby deep dive.
All
I'm not going to try to be Chat GPT ridiculous, I guess. Just be normal. Try to my best. I don't think I've ever been accused of being normal, but okay. So we made the switcheroo from rookie deep dive back to hobby deep dive, as kind of got to the end of interesting rookies. And so we're going to take a little break until we get closer to extended series, which I'm guessing will come out in June-ish, we'll call it. So I don't think it'll be too long. But Hobby Deep Dive is, of course, where we present 4 players via an Instagram poll that we think would be interesting to learn more about and let you guys pick the winner. Before getting into this week's candidates, Troy, here's a quick recap of the wily vets that we've deep dove to this point. Haven't done a lot of these. So Elias Pettersson, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Leon Draisaitl, and our last one was Quinn Hughes. Oh, wait. Did you show the main photo again for YouTube? Can you go back to that? Did you notice I did a new photo?
No, I don't have a main photo. Hold on.
Oh, I did just for you.
Hold on.
It was a surprise.
Background or hobby deep dive title photo. There it is. And I see it here. I'll bring it in. Oh, jeez. We're going off the rails, people. Hold on.
Went to the AI image creator. It's worth it. I think it's worth the payout.
Where is it? No. What? There's Butch. There
it is. So I found a new scuba diver and I put a name tag on him.
Nice. I like it.
Was that worth a 2-minute delay in our show?
Probably I don't know. I don't know, but that was.
We can't entertain ourselves, Troy. We can't entertain everybody else.
That's what
somebody probably said once. All right. This week's candidates presented to you guys for vote on our Instagram were Clayton Keller, Zach Hyman, Braden Point, and Mikko Rantanen. Pretty close in the votes, Troy.
Yeah.
Clayton Keller had 24%, Braden Point 19%, Mikko Rantanen came in second with 27%, but the winner was Zach Hyman. So that makes him this week's rookie deep dive candidate. I did not know much about him. Did you?
No.
Or do you?
No, I don't know a lot about him at all.
Well, good, because we're going to learn about him. So Hyman is 31 years old, hails from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Ever heard of Toronto? Ever been there?
I have. And
you play hockey there?
Yes. Okay. No, I did not play hockey there, but.
Now, why is he the subject of this week's deep dive? Well, Troy, in 72 games played this year, he has 52 goals, 20 assists for 72 points. His 52 goals, as of yesterday when I did the research, were tied with the Florida Panthers' Sam Reinhart for second most in the NHL. Each are 10 behind Austin Matthews, who had 62 at the time of research. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. As we mentioned, we'll go back to a little more the history of Zach Hyman. Born in Toronto, part of a hockey family. His father, Stuart, is the chairman of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. I didn't write this in the notes, but there's been a lot of articles coming out after his 50 goals that, I don't know what you call it, maybe questioning or trying to discredit his goal scoring this year and the last really couple of years, and mentioning that I think came from a wealthy family, and somehow that gives him an unfair advantage to get 52 goals in the NHL.
All right, I guess whatever.
So, I mean, I'm having a hard time connecting those dots, but yeah, there's some controversy around that. I'm sure if anyone wants to learn more, they can go and seek it out. But again, his father, Stuart, chairman of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. So Hyman played in a number of youth and junior leagues for Hamilton, which is near Hamilton, Ontario, really through the 2010-2011 season, culminating with 102 points and 42 goals in 43 games played in the Ontario Junior A League in 2010-2011. He chose to play college, Troy, in the U.S. as opposed to going to the CHL, partly because he valued education and he wanted to continue playing hockey at elite level, but also get his degree. Oh, I should mention too the pictures. So he played for the Red Wings in Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
Pretty much completely rip off. Is that like a copyright violation, or did they have to have permission for that?
I remember one time I read up about that, and it is but no team will ever prosecute it because it's like goodwill to let you teams use their symbols.
Well, even your team, the Minnetonka Skippers, you use the logo of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, essentially.
Yeah, but that I think you can't. No, actually the M's are different.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
I think so.
I'll have to do it. We'll do it. I feel like they're the same, but we'll do a comparison later. So he decided he wanted to play college instead of going to the CHL. He originally committed to Princeton, so it must be a pretty smart guy. But right before, I guess he left for college, or the Princeton coach left for Penn State, and at the time, Penn State did not have a varsity hockey program. So Hyman ended up decommitting from Princeton and committed then to Michigan and started with the Wolverines with the 2011-2012 season. He ended up playing 4 years at Michigan, which it's kind of like hockey's getting like basketball in college. It's like, oh, wow, somebody actually stayed for 4 years.
He stayed all years.
Yeah.
Breaking news, the M's are the same. I just looked them up.
Yeah, I thought so.
But I don't know if you can copyright a letter. That's where it gets really goofy.
Yeah, I don't know. Hyman had a breakout year in his senior year. It was 2014-15. He was named that year alternate captain of the Wolverines. He also had 22 goals, 32 assists for 54 points in 37 games played. Finished the season as the Big Ten scoring champion. Was also first-team All-American and a Hobey Baker Award finalist. Now, who won the Hobey Baker in 2015? It was, of course, Jack Eichel from Boston College. Ended up winning it that year. Just kidding. Boston University. I think I'm going to do that now.
How many people just drop their cue or drop their phone and start typing? Also, we got beef, man. I got beef with you. Is that the Gophers? Did you show a picture of him scoring on the Gophers?
Oh, I did. Dang.
Well, it's either UMD.
Bad juju.
It's either UMD, the Gophers, or I don't know. It looks like the Gophers. That looks like the Gophers jersey.
It has to be the Gophers. That's not UMD. They don't. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
My bad.
But Eichel, yes, we know Eichel, Boston University. Calm down.
How many you think we lost 4,000 subscribers last minute, or what happened? I think I'm just going to do that every time. Just to be annoying. Okay, remember that Hyman partly chose to play college hockey because he wanted his education. He graduated Troy, Michigan with a degree in history.
Okay.
But racked up some big-time academic awards, too. He was a 3-time Big Ten All-Academic Selection, 2-time recipient of the Big Ten Distinguished Scholar Award. So here's a college athlete that went to class. Apparently. It's kind of crazy. Hyman was originally selected, Troy, with the 123rd overall pick in the 2010 NHL entry draft by the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
Apparently the Wild didn't need him.
Yeah, I would love to look up 2010 NHL draft to see who the Wild took.
Probably nobody. Some guy never played. Never left Russia, probably.
Oh, Mikael Granlund. There you go.
Yeah, I liked him. Hyman would never come to terms with the Panthers, and his rights were traded to the Maple Leafs after he graduated college, so the summer right before the 2015-16 NHL season. Hyman made his professional debut in the HL for Troy's favorite, the Toronto Marlies, to start the 2015-16 season. Ended up playing 59 games for the Marlies, producing 15 goals, 22 assists for 37 points. He'd also make his Maple Leafs debut that season, playing a total of 16 games in the NHL, scoring 4 goals and adding 2 assists. The following year, so this is 2016-17 now, Hyman made the Maple Leafs opening day roster. Ended up playing 5 full seasons as a Leafs regular, with his best year coming in 2018-19. He had 21 goals, 20 assists for 41 points, and 71 games played. Following the 2020-21 season, so the COVID season, Hyman was a free agent. Maple Leafs were in the midst of they're always in a salary cap squeeze, right?
Yep.
So I don't think they were in a very strong position to give him a good offer, and the Oilers made a strong offer and lured him away in free agency, signing him to a 7-year, $38.5 million agreement. Since then, his point production has increased all 3 years so far in Edmonton. So in his first year, which was 2021-22, he had a career high 27 goals, 27 assists for 54 points, and 76 games played. He followed that up with 36 goals and 83 points last year. And this season, of course, he's got 52 goals, 72 points, and 72 games played. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, well, geez, what was the difference for Hyman in Edmonton? I'm going to dispel that for y'all right now. I would say playing on the Oilers top line with Connor McDavid and the Nuge, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, is a pretty good start.
Yeah.
To that. It's a gift from the hockey gods. You've been anointed. And then maybe more importantly, Troy, he also plays on the Oilers' first power play unit as well.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If you took like the average, and what do you think like the average NHL player, like I'm talking about like the median player in like 15 goals, something like that a year, probably, or less?
That's a great question. Probably 15. I'll go 12 to 15.
You take any 15 goal scorer, right? Yeah. So somebody that's proven they can do it, and you put them on a regular line with McDavid, and also on the first power play unit with McDavid and Draisaitl and, Bouchard. Does any player score like 25, 30 goals at that point? I mean, do you think that there's that big of an impact?
Yes, I would say so.
I'm not trying to knock Zach Hyman because he's getting it done, right?
We still got to put the puck in the net. It's like Bonds, all the steroids. He still had to hit the ball. Like, it's not easy to do that. So
I would summarize: he's a pretty good player and in a fantastic situation.
Yeah.
Right, which is helping him out. So here's one thing that's pretty unique about his 50 goals this year. He's only the 11th player in NHL history to score 50 or more goals at age 31 or older.
Interesting.
Does not happen very often when players are in their 30s. He also joined Alexander Mogilny, Kevin Stevens, Pavel Bure, Brett Hull, Peter Bondra, Theo Fleury, Luc Robitaille, and is it Hakan Lube?
Oh, Hakan Lube.
Hakan Lube?
Oh, I loved Hakan Lube.
As the only players Troy drafted in the 5th round or later to have 50 goals in a season.
Interesting. And Mogilny still can't get in the Hall of Fame. Every time we bring him up, I'm going to complain about that.
It's amazing, though, when you think of Mogilny, Stevens, Bure, Hull, Bondra, Fleury, and Robitaille were all taken in the 5th round or later.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Zach Hyman, is it? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so say, and Hakan Lube.
Hakan Lube. Who? I don't know who. Why do
I believe he played. I remember him. I remember his hockey card. He had one of those kind of cool, weird looking helmets. I believe he played for the Flames when I remember him playing. I'm looking him up.
Like an 80s guy or 70s guy?
Yeah. No, he total 80s guy. He didn't play that long. Yeah, he played for the Flames his whole career. So I looked him up. Yeah. I mean, he's still, listen to this, 6-year career. Boy, I need to research this guy. He had 450 games played, 429 points.
Wow. Why didn't they play 6 years?
I wonder if he just got tired and went back to, where is he from? Sweden. Yeah, I remember Hakan. I have to look that up. Hope he didn't pass away.
He retired because he was sleepy?
No, he's from Sweden. Like, did he go back to Sweden?
Oh, okay. Okay, Trey. Zach Hyman is a 2016 Young Guns PSA 10, popped 232, 53% jam rate, last sold for 140 US on March 26, up 18% in the past 2 weeks, up 62% in the past 3 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess that's what scoring 50 goals does to your hobby market, hey?
Definitely. And now, because I want to turn the show into a Hakan Lube show now, he did. He just decided to go back to Sweden. That's what he did.
Okay. Welcome back to the Hakan Lube Hockey Card Podcast. My name is Fuzzy, and I'm here with Dippy Doo. Not a big Zach Hyman hobby market. I don't know if that's a shock to you. Per card letter sales history, only 1,697 of his cards have sold to date. Biggest sale ever was in January when a gold rainbow foil Young Guns PSA 10 sold for $443 US. I would say, too, Troy, given he's on a team with McDavid and Draisaitl, he's going to be a PC guy, probably at best.
Yeah. I
wouldn't get too excited about it. He's 31.
Yeah. Ask the average hockey fan how many goals he has. 1% probably know he's over 50 goals. I kind of came out of nowhere.
Always fun, though, to learn about these guys and having a great year and pretty awesome. Okay. Got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner sponsor Slab Sharks. We are super grateful for their support of our show. A reminder, the current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction ends tonight. It's really become appointment viewing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I get mesmerized by their website. I really like the updates. Hey, Troy, why don't you try not to fall asleep tonight so you can actually win some cards? Was that 2 weeks ago that you had?
Yeah, I had a bunch bookmarked and I passed out. Oh, no. I was in London last time, but 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. Log on to slapsharks.com to get a link to the auction and place your bid. When you say log on, does that age you at this point? Is that the current vernacular for going?
I think it's the current vernacular. It's current vernacular for us.
I don't want to sound like your grandpa or something like that. Anyways, so just go to slabsharks.com. You'll find amazing cards. Why are there so many amazing cards, Troy? I know you're asking that. Well, I'm going to tell you. Because Canadian hockey card collectors love using Slab Sharks for the eBay consignment services. They make life easy selling your cards on eBay. Slab Sharks takes professional photos. They do all the listings, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment from the winners, ship cards to the US and Canada, and most importantly, they handle any post-sale issues. Do not forget about the 98% payout promo on all Connor Bedard cards that runs through June 1st. Boy, time's kind of ticking away on that. We're getting
there.
Over before we know it. For complete consignment information and to start the consignment process today, log on to slabsharks.com.
Hobby news.
Well, I always got to start hobby news now. I don't know how long we're going to do this, but we'll do it until it's no longer interesting, I guess. The Road to Infinity update. We've seen huge bumps last few shows in the Connor Bedard Young Guns PSA 10 population count. So buckle up, Troy. Get ready for another Road to Infinity update. As a Monday show, we were sitting at a current pop count of 762 Bedard Young Gun PSA 10s. Now, Troy, just 3 days later, 3 whole days, the updated total. You ready? Wait for it. You excited? You scared? You nervous? Want to cry? Not a huge jump, but for
3
Bedard,
days. Yeah.
90 in 3 days, right? So 851 is the current PSA 10 pop count for the Bedsy Young Guns. It's an increase of 89 in 3 days. Now a total of 1,849 copies have been graded by PSA. So that's an updated gem rate of 46%. Basically where it was last show. So I don't know if it'll stabilize around there. It was in the mid-50s, I think, very early on. At 851, Troy, we're getting dangerously close to the 1,000 mark already for Connor Bedard. And we're still technically less than a month after release. So with 4 days left to Monday's show, and I think the gap between last Thursday and this most recent Monday was like 360 more PSA 10s. Would you predict that we get to 1,000 by Monday?
Yeah, I'll say we will.
That'd be like 1,000 in the first month, which is crazy.
And that'd be like 2,000 graded too, because it's about 50% gem rate. So, yeah. It's funny. I was looking at the PSA thing. Do you know what the lowest graded one is?
There's like a 2, isn't there?
Yeah, there's like a 2 out there. I'm like, did someone just bend it and send it in for a joke to see what they can get on?
But again, though, these have to be expressed. So what does that cost you? $300 to get?
I know.
Bedard PSA 2
when I saw that.
That's what happened if I tried to grade one. All right, moving on, Troy. Very excited for one of our partners, Mike Hardpost.
Oh, you got to take off.
I know.
Take off our Road to Infinity. There we go.
There we go. Saw this post the other day and reach out to Mark to congratulate him. So if you're not aware, Mike Hardpost is a online trading platform. It's very unique, very different. It is a subscription, but it doesn't charge any seller fees. So it kind of opens you up to be able to do any sort of deal you want. There's no restrictions. It's like kind of like being at a card show. You can do buy, sell, trade. You can make offers on multiple cards. You can sell bulk cards to card shops, which is becoming really popular on there now. You can do trades plus cash. And it's all been bootstrapped, basically. It's not a huge corporation. It's just a guy. He's a hockey collector of all, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And a really, really great guy, Mark Hill, thought there's a better way to build an online trading platform. funded this out of his own wallet, and they just crossed after I think 16 months, $1 million in total deals have been now facilitated on the platform. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I love entrepreneurship. I love to see, people, working their butt off to make the hobby a better place. And so I just want to congratulate Mark real quick on that achievement, because I'm sure many, many, many hours with probably little to no pay have gone into, building a platform that a lot of people love now. And so that's just an awesome thing. If you have not tried out my card post and you want to, would strongly recommend it. We actually have a promo code that he gave us a while ago. Gongshow 30, GONGSHOW 30. I think you get 30% off your first 3 months. Oh, and then last thing too is, in addition to $1 million in total deals value, Mark said that through not charging selling fees, they've saved collectors over $60,000 in fees, which kind of keeps that money back on the hobby, which is a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, and just full transparency here. I think you said this. They're a sponsor of our show.
Yep. Yeah, they sponsor our pack opening.
Openings.
So. All right, Troy, we had to do a story on
I did
the newest NHL goalie, and
this
is your wheelhouse. So I'm gonna let you run with it.
Yeah. So Josh, we have a new giant in the league, and this giant just happens to be playing goalie. But holy cow, Ivan Fedotov, he is massive, like incredibly tall. If you look at this picture on YouTube, he's 6'7" or 6'8", depending on what source you want to believe. And it is crazy. He's looking at pictures of him in net. If you're looking at YouTube, he looks like he's half, like the net comes up to his waist, and he's like, whole body is still, like the upper half of his body is still above it. Now, part of this might be perspective and how the camera's off to the side, but holy cow, this guy's massive. And if you don't remember the name Ivan Fedotov, maybe you'll remember his story. He was selected by the Flyers in the 7th round, so 188th overall of the 2015 entry draft. He plays over in Russia in the KHL, and then during the 21-22 season, he's named KHL Goalie of the Year. So in May of 22, the Flyers signed him as a free agent to a 1-year entry-level contract for the 22-23 season, and this is where the wheels falls off and the story gets bonkers. While in preparation to depart to North America on July 1st, 2022, Fedotov was arrested for alleged evasion of military service in Russia and sent to whatever this town's called, Severomorsk.
The Gulag, right?
The Gulag, which prevented him from joining the Philadelphia Flyers. Fedotov would miss the entirety of the season to fill his military service requirements. Now, that, I guess, is one way to put it. I like to say he was just kidnapped by Russia and sent to the military to stay in Russia, but who knows?
Well, can I add something to this too?
Yeah.
This was all going down at the same time.
Our boy.
That our guy was sort of alleged for the same thing.
Yep.
Right? And then he did, like, snuck across the border into Turkey or something like that and got, or whatever the Wild did or his agent did to get him here. And then the other thing, can I just mention really quick? The Flyers, like with the bullet, are the league leader in weird player situations, right?
Yeah.
With the whole Carter Hart thing and now
Carter
this thing. And then the other Russian guy that
was that the one's dad?
His dad ended up like dead for criticizing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But
yeah, okay, it's wild. All right. So he completed the military service, as we'll call it. Fedotov's contract with the Flyers was initially announced to have, it's a legal term. I don't understand this, to have been told for the 23-24 season. I don't know what the told means for a legal reason. Yeah, that's
TOLLED, right?
Yeah.
I used to know, but I don't remember.
Yeah. However, with the memorandum of understanding suspended between the NHL and the KHL, Fedotov was signed to a 2-year contract to resume his playing career with his previous club, CSKA Moscow, of the KHL on July 8th of 2023. The KHL later announced to have registered his contract with CSKA on the basis of Fedotov not holding a valid and binding contract with an NHL club. This is just craziness. So on July 31st, the NHL and the Flyers contest the KHL's decision to register his contract and formally submitted a request to the International Ice Hockey Federation that his contract with the Flyers be valid. I don't know why the IIHF is involved in this, but I get it.
If they're not letting Russia play in any events, why do they care about
why do they have to be
their contract?
Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes I probably don't understand. So then CSK terminates Fedotov's contract on March 28th of this year, and he joins the Flyers for the remainder of the 23-24 NHL season. Let's just say they probably got paid off, is my guess is what happened. I don't have any information on that.
I think the Flyers are like, hey, bro, this summer, maybe let's have your family come here to see you and not go back to Russia.
Yeah, and you got to remember, too, now this guy's 31 now, right? I think he's 31. Or is that Hyman? Hyman was 31. He's either 28 or 31. I'm getting my dates mixed up, but he's older.
Yeah.
So here's Fedotov. Made his NHL debut in a 4-3 overtime loss against the New York Islanders on April 1st. He entered the game in relief of Samuel Ersson and made 19 saves on 21 shots. So he played
what happened
fairly.
To Ersson?
I don't know.
Ersson get pulled or hurt?
Pulled or hurt? No, he got pulled because I remember I think Torts kind of went nuts on the team. So they put Ersson. Is that Ersson in?
Ersson, yeah.
And it's just your normal Russian hockey player making it to the NHL story. I will say this. Love the white helmet. No paint. I know it's got a Flyers emblem, but I think it looks so cool with those white jerseys.
Well, that was like a rush job too. So I think I think people are making that comment, but yeah, it was like you went through the whole timeline where they terminated his contract on the 28th and he's playing in a game just a couple days later for
get over here.
Philadelphia. I think the worst part about being an NHL GM would be managing the whole Russia thing.
Yeah, the whole international stuff, like especially Russia. They're the ones that are. You might have disputes with other leagues, but Russia just seems to go out, do their own thing, and a little dicey over there still.
You got the next story too, right?
All right. Yep, we got the Gem Rate came out with their March 2024 grading recap. So it was just released. I put today, but it was actually yesterday. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to show a picture of. Here we go. Here's kind of the overall items graded for March 2024 of all types. So we look at this. What does it tell us? PSA graded an all-time record for them of 1.33 million items.
Connor Bedard cards?
Some were Connor Bedard cards.
Oh, wow.
Which is a 9% year-over-year increase. So they are just going bonkers. I mean, this was all-time monthly record. 1.33 million items. CGC, obviously on the back of TCG cards, had another huge growth month with 185,000 total cards graded, which was a 62% year-over-year increase. And then SGC graded 147,000 items, which was a 22% year-over-year increase. And one note in the report was that SGC is actually building up a bigger queue/backlog than they've traditionally carried over the past 2 years, which has resulted in increased turnaround time. So just remember that if you're going to use them, they're starting to get clogged up a little bit. I don't know how that's going to be affected with the whole acquisition. I don't even know when the acquisition closes or if it's closed already. So more to be seen there. Then we have our pals Beckett. They graded 66,000 items, which is down 6% year over year. So Josh, the struggle continues. The struggle continues for Beckett. They were up 1% month over month, so take the win, I guess, on that. But man, it's just every time we see these recaps, it's getting kind of depressing.
Do you think they would sponsor the struggle bus?
Jeez. Well, there went any chance of Beckett sponsoring anything.
Yeah,
put their emblem.
It's time for the Beckett Struggle Bus, sponsored by Beckett, where we can guarantee that while other grading card companies are killing it, they're going down.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I know they're struggling. However, I still will stand by. I like their checklist site. At least they're still updating it, unlike Cardboard Connection, who has seemed to just fall off. One person leaves, and that whole site just seems to come crashing down. So I don't know what's going on there, but. When we drill into sports cards, so let's just do that. If you're watching on YouTube, we drill into sports cards. I guess a little more positive news for Beckett. we'll say 35,000 sports card graded, which is up 5% year over year for them. Again, take the wins where you can, but PSA and SGC are still just showing impressive year over year growth in sports cards as well. PSA was up 22% year over year, SGC up 18% in sports cards. Pretty crazy. All right, Josh, we're going to drill down even further in March. So PSA graded the most hockey cards with 37.6 thousand, followed by SGC with 3,100 and Beckett with 1,900 hockey cards graded. CGC's out there, they had 600 hockey cards graded, which was up 20% month over month. Adding it all up
all at the same time.
Yeah. Adding it all up, we have 43,200 hockey cards graded last month, which is about 4.3% of all sports cards graded. Again, we've mentioned that before just to show how kind of a small piece of the overall graded card market hockey is. And then, Josh, there's the big stuff everyone's waiting for. Top 10 most graded sports cards by PSA. So we're looking at this report. It's up on the screen on YouTube. Our boy Bedard made it, his Young Guns. It's the base Young Guns. It's number 5, 1,600 graded copies at PSA.
Again, these are all express. So once the value submissions get through, I predict it jumps up. But he will have competition in, I don't know. I know you don't follow basketball to a great degree, but Victor Wembanyama is playing ridiculous. So he's having an NBA rookie season equivalent to if Bedard had 55 goals.
Wow.
That's how good he's been. So I can't imagine I would imagine his card market's going crazy. And then CJ Stroud was the biggest rookie quarterback from last year.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Bedard will probably slowly climb up this list a couple spots.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Can he get to number 1? Who knows? We'll see. The road to infinity will tell us, but that's our monthly grading recap from GemRate.
Well, from there, Troy, we're just going to get into a little bit more of March discussion, which was the month of Bedard.
There we go.
So we had that nice little break, right? As I was kind of thinking about, how to introduce this topic, I was trying to find the appropriate level of hyperbole to describe what happened to this hobby last month. And honestly, it's like no words seem strong enough at this point. Like insanity, bedlam, craziness, Bedardapalooza, right? The hype and hoopla, I think, exceeded my expectations. So in the last few days, we've been slicing and dicing what was the month of Bedard, and I guess we'll see if it's to the level maybe you thought it would be, or I think some of this data will blow people's minds a little bit. First thing we're going to look at is, and we did an Instagram post regarding this a few days ago, most cards sold last month by a player. We're not going to, we do top 25. We're not going to go through the whole list. We're just going to talk about the top 5. We've done this, Troy, every month, almost since the start of our show, where we've tracked 25 players, most cards sold on the secondary markets each month.
That's got to be a record, right? Is that a record? Oh, yeah. That's what I figured.
Well, never once has Wayne Gretzky not been the top spot.
Yeah.
Probably the 20 months we've done this or so. Last month, 14,265 Connor Bedard cards sold on the secondary market per card ladder. Most ever that we've recorded in a single month for a single player. Wayne Gretzky was second with 7,359. So just about half of the Bedard sales. Followed by McDavid, 5,665 cards sold. Ovi, 3,099 cards sold. And then Crosby, 2,877 to round out the top 5. Now, I think we all expected a lot of Bedard cards to be sold last month. Where I'm really going to be curious is this moving forward. So, yes, it's release month.
Yep.
Now we're into April. What happens? Does Bedard still keep the top spot? Or will Gretzky kind of, take back the mantle there, the crown there? And when I saw this number, and we get our data from Card Ladder, and saw that 14,265 Bedard cards were sold last month, I
was kind of curious. I wonder what the total value is. And unfortunately, Card Ladder doesn't show that in their sales history reporting. But I reached out to them and I just asked them if they would.
You called in a favor, didn't you?
Called in a favor. Yeah. I said, okay, all these cards sold. Do you guys have any way of finding out what the total value or total amount was spent on secondary markets? And they got back.
Yep.
Right. They got us some numbers here. So last month, again, 14,265 cards sold for Bedard. A total of $3,156,000. $3,156,409.76 USD was spent on Connor Bedard cards, which is a lot. It's like an economy in of itself in the hobby. Included in that last month, Troy, 457 Connor Bedard cards sold for $1,000 or more. As a point of context, there's been 352 sales for Jack Hughes cards for $1,000 or more ever.
Mm-hmm.
And 457 for Bedard last month. And this is amazing too, right? Per Card Ladder, all time, again, another all-time metric, 1,636 Austin Matthews sales of $1,000 or more. Bedard's all-time total, so last month and every month before that, is now up to 1,187. And his Young Guns has been out for less than a month.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
$3 million plus spent on singles. And then I asked you this the other day on the phone, but it's worth mentioning again. So if $3 million is spent on singles, how much was spent on wax with the intention of trying to get Connor Bedard last month? But you think 10 times that? 20 times that?
Yeah, probably 20 times.
Oh my gosh. Just crazy. So is that would you have guessed it would be more than 3.1 million, or does that hit you?
I'll say I would have no clue. I think the more important, or the stuff where I'm kind of blown away, is the whole more sales than Jack Hughes, over $1,000 ever in just 1 month. And then catching up to Austin Matthews and just almost doubling Gretzky. Those are the things to me that are crazy. The dollar amount, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's really no context. I mean, that's kind of the first data that Card Ladder has ever pulled. And you're right, they did it on special request. I want to get into one specific area of the whole Bedard craze in the past month and dig in a little bit more, and I hope make a point. And you're gonna have to tell me if I'm losing you here at all. I keep hearing about how much his Young Guns PSA 10 value is going down.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, I don't know what the tone is in that, but kind of like a snarky tone maybe to it. And of course it is going down, right? It peaked at like $5,000. But I think that what is missing from the narrative, Troy, around the values decline of his base Young Guns PSA 10 is the layer of what I'm going to call market cap that people aren't accounting for in that discussion. So remember, we said that when you have a high print run, high pop count card like this, you have to factor in the total number of graded copies of the card into the overall value equation. This is kind of also ties into our Road to Infinity whole bit too. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you have a company that's worth $100,000, and there's 5 total shares in that company, right? So then each share is worth $20,000 today. But if next week there were 600 shares in the same company, I don't think you'd be surprised that the value per share is no longer $20,000, right? No. It's going to be, because nothing materially changed in the company in the past week, where the company is all of a sudden less valuable. It's just more spread out. The value is more spread out to these shares. And this is, I think, what's happening to a large degree with the Bedard Young Guns base PSA 10. And it's not a perfect analogy, but there's no way, Troy, that a massive increase in pop count is not going to drive the value of the card down. And so I think an interesting way maybe for us to start looking at the Bedard Young Guns market values is to maybe start to take in account the current pop count, multiply it by the current value, which is basically like in a stock, like if you stock market sense, is how you would calculate the market cap of the company, which I think gives us a more apples to apples comparison. Because if you, in the whole point in this is that when 2-3 weeks ago, when the Bedard Young Guns PSA 10 hit $5,000, you can't really compare it to today, the values, without accounting for that, because it was a wholly different situation in a very short amount of time. So, I mean, do you agree with this am I onto something or on something here?
I get what you're saying. I want to hear some.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Well, I actually did a comparison.
Well, it's like the company. It is like a company, because Bedard's performance would be like the company's performance, and the market cap, I totally understand that. So it makes sense.
I think this is either where I'm going to win people over or totally lose it. So we'll see. So on March 19th, the pop count for the Bedard Young Guns PSA 10 was 86. And his top sale that day, so I went up the top sale.
Yep.
$3,354 US. So if you multiply that 3,354 times 86, you would get like a quote unquote like market cap of $288,444 US. So that's how much money it would take to buy all the total inventory of Bedard Young Gun PSA 10. So when I did my research yesterday, there were 764, and we know it's 851 now, but there were 764 Young Gun PSA 10s, and they were selling around 1,500 at the time, for a total market value of $1,146,000 US. Right, so more money was being spent on Bedard Young Guns, so there's more, but there's just way more of them out there, and so the price per unit or price per share, however you want to look at it, I don't know what the right way to do this is. Yeah. So I think, you know, you have this 10 to 15 times increase in pop count, and people just are not mentioning it, and it's bugging me when they're talking about how much this card is going down. But this is also what we expected, right? And so I think it's the difference too between being an educated. It's not like I never want people to think it's like being smart or dumb. It's just more having the information versus not, and having you either get that through shows like ours or other podcasts, or reading or researching or doing your own data analysis, or just experience in the hobby. So I don't know. Do you think that we should start looking at sort of like the kind of like whatever market cap type metric when?
I'll be interested to see how this applies to other things, but we've kind of done it, but just on one side of the equation, which is pop counts, which makes sense.
You look at, we make fun of you about your Kaprizov Young Guns. We just talked about this last episode. You bought it when there was like a 1,000 or less PSA 10s, and now there's 5,000, and surprise, surprise, it's worth a fraction of what you paid for it.
Yep.
And I think another way to look at it too is that if whatever he's at, like 20 something, like what, 60 points or something like that ish. Now I haven't looked in the last few days. If that's what it takes to sustain a $3,000 value at 86 PSA 10s, what does he have to produce to maintain a $3,000 value when the number jumps from 86 to 851?
Yep.
I mean, there's no way he could possibly keep up with that, right? From a playing perspective, it's at some point the population count kind of overrides any other factor. Okay, I got off my soapbox there. So there's obviously some mind-blowing data last month surrounding Bedard. A lot of excitement, a ton of hobby emotions.
Yep.
And I think what's gone down in the hobby in March 2024 could have changed. And you know, it'll be interesting 10 years from now, looking back, to see what sort of catalyst or inflection point this was in certain areas. And so I tried to put a little thought to what do we think has changed as a result of this month. So I'm going to go through my list, and you can agree or disagree or add your own thoughts as well, Troy. I think the success of both the OPC paper and now Series 2, which was prior to March, I get it, but Series 2 in March, at very high box price, shockingly high box prices, has sort of set a new bar and, more importantly, raised the floor for box prices, right? Because when these price increases went up, of course, we all had the sticker shock for that. But we didn't know if people were still going to buy it. And I was just at a card shop today, and they're sold out of Series 2.
Sold out Series 2. And just, we talked on the phone, maybe jumping the gun here, but SP Game Used literally was $20 cheaper yesterday, and it gets released and it jumps up $30 already, or $20-$30 on a box. And I said it's because people forgot Bedard was in it.
Here's where we're going to see huge prices compared to what we're used to for 2023-24 products, where I think the long-term impact of what's gone down in the last month is that when next year there isn't a generational, there's no Connor Bedard next year, box prices will be lower, but I don't think they're going back to where they were pre-Bedard. Right. So if a box of Series 1 was $110 in 2022 or something like that, it's not going back to that.
No.
It'll go to 140 or something, 130. And, that's just the way things like this, I think, tend to work. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with you, because, I mean, part of it, too, is I don't think Upper Deck or the distributors or the card shops are going to leave money on the table yet. And so they're going to try to still maximize. I mean, they're not going to get $300 a box, but they're not going to drop it down to what it was before. They'll keep it up a little bit inflated.
I should kind of amend that too and say probably right out of the gate, because what we're seeing, and I think what will continue to happen, is if they, and the same thing would happen if nobody bought Series 2 at $300. If a box comes out Series 1 next year and it's not nearly as exciting, let's say, maybe, and nobody buys it, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months down the road, we're going to start to see a discount.
Yep.
Probably. Okay, but my next long-term impact thing, I probably should have started with this because it relates to my soapbox, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'm at least hopeful, Troy, at this point, that there's going to be a greater general understanding of base Young Guns pricing and market value when a product is released, and more people will understand that the base Young Guns PSA 10 pop count of a really hot player 6 days after the product comes out is the most fleeting moment in time of scarcity for that card. Like when you see pop 4, and then 20 days later it's pop 851. Right. All this was very, very predictable. And so many people have paid in the last month huge money for these bedsies at lower pop numbers and have taken like massive hits in 2 weeks. I mean, it's now you're you've had a slow and painful death on the value of your Kaprizov.
Yeah.
But can you imagine spending $4,000 on a Bedard Young Gun PSA 10 and it's $1,300 literally 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
And it was totally predictable.
Yep.
It's what makes it unique about Bedard is the scale, right?
Yeah.
It happened with Beniers. It happened with Slavkovsky. It's happened with, of course, Kaprizov. It happened with Caulfield. It's going to keep happening over and over and over again. And these people, when these products come out, buy these first PSA 10s as if it's the only one that will ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
Where after 26 days, there's 851 Bedards. By June, there'll be 5,000. You'll be able to buy one of these every minute of every day for the rest of your life. I don't know. Do you think that as a whole, the hobby is going to kind of get this concept a little bit better going forward? Is this like so pronounced of a lesson that more people learn, or is it just wishful thinking on my part?
No, I think some people will get it. I think more and more people will understand it, partly due to our show or other shows or other people talking about it. But I think as long as we keep hammering it, that eventually, at least people that listen to our show will understand it. But I think a lot of people will kind of figure it out as this goes on. And I was looking, it was funny you talked about the Bedards. Now there's PSA 10s just on eBay, quick search. There's 135 now. that you can buy. And it's never going to go lower than that. They'll be out there forever. These cards are always going to be available.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next one is, I think that now this has heightened the intensity of prospecting, and not just NHL players, whether it be like CHL or college players. I've seen posts about this kid that might be granted exceptional status.
Yeah, the 14-year-old.
At 14-year-old, right? Because the story up until last month has been the pre-market NHL cards for Bedard have been crazy.
Yep.
$10,000 plus sales. And so, what do? Everybody wants to find the big star, be on the train at the very earliest opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to figure out who, whether it be Macklin Celebrini or Michael Misa, who we've talked about, or what's Gavin McKenna. Was Duncan is the kid's name. I mean, it's crazy. I know a 14-year-old's name, but that's the impact that this kid has had, the Bedard's had on the hobby. So do you see that? Do you see people trying to maybe get a little more aggressive buying CHL cards and stuff like that now?
Probably, and I absolutely hate it because coaching youth sports, I think Bedard was an exception for how well he handled everything, and it looks like he had a couple good parents that shielded him. I'm telling you, this stuff can get out of hand pretty quick on some of these kids.
Mm-hmm. My last one is, it feels like that the $1 million bounty for the Alpers Gold 101 has been a success. And so I don't think we're going to see $1 million bounty next year with Celebrini, but I kind of feel like bounties are going to be a little bit more of a regular thing.
Yeah, I think bounties, but what happened to the bounty? Is it still out there? Did it get redeemed? Because go to David Adams' site, you can't find anything on it anymore. So we're I don't know what's going on with that bounty.
The thought crossed my mind.
I mean, what if you had it and you told them, yeah, I want to redeem it,
but I want this confidential. I don't want
confidential. Yeah. Interesting.
But don't you think they would have showed the card afterwards?
Well, yeah, I think it would. Yeah, especially if the guy.
No, they wouldn't, because it wouldn't be in their self-interest to do that.
That's true.
That you'd be playing right into the hands of David Adams.
Hockey hobby mystery. Or maybe we just can't find the part on the website where it's at. It's still there. But
that would be like the dream scenario, Troy.
Yeah. There it is.
For David Adams, if you had the card and you said, hey, I want my bounty, you can have the card, but I don't like publicity. I don't want people knowing that I have $1 million, which is kind of understandable. Please do not publicize this in any ways. They would be like, thank you, sweet baby Jesus, because now we don't have to tell people that we have this card. We'll just sneakily remove stuff from the website,
and we'll keep up
in the price of boxes
as people think it's still out there. Yeah, and I think the big takeaway, like you said, with this, the whole pop thing, it's just understanding, right? Like you said, we don't think they're not dumb. It's just a lack of knowledge on how pop counts and how you kind of explain the market cap and how that works with young guns. And
we didn't know any of this 2 years ago.
No. And hopefully hearing this stuff, people become more educated on it and make better decisions. That's all we can ask for.
Can you think of any other sort of long-term potential impact from this whole situation in the past month?
I think there might be, like you said, I think there's going to be that, what's the word, adrenaline, or that what's the next big, who's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's like that fix or that drug.
Short attention spans, right?
Yeah, who's next?
We want to know what you guys think, so let us know on social media. Comment on the video on YouTube. What do you think maybe could be the lasting impact, whether it be positives, negative, doom and gloom? We want to hear from you. Okay, we're going to move on quick to new product releases. Want to start real quick, Troy, with some instant reactions for SP Game Used. I was pretty busy today. For once, you actually watched more product being open than I did. So why don't you let me know what your kind of first impressions were for what you saw?
The boxes I saw, the net cords I thought looked awesome. The every box was murdered. There was just nothing coming out. I don't know. It's one of those things we talk about. 1 pack, 6 cards. It's you're gonna get murdered on 99% of them. And obviously there are Bedards in here with Bedard, patch autos and everything.
Yeah.
But again, in SP, you're gonna get some game use stuff. They do have the manufacturer stuff. People were really liking when I was watching the breaks. They're really liking the mascot patch stuff.
God, really?
Which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad.
I mean,
thing.
more power to you. I'm glad then, because I would be really bummed. I gotta admit.
Yeah. So
well, actually, we typically get a box, and you and I decided to punt on SV Game Used, and it's not due to maybe what people would assume. The obvious that it hasn't been our exact favorite product. Actually, the more we looked into it, the more I've liked this product, and so I'm way higher today on SV Game Used than I thought than I was 2 weeks ago. The thought I had today, though, is that kind of like you said, I almost think that when you have these 1 pack 6 card boxes, is the smarter play to break. And I'm not a huge breaker. You're more into breaking than I am, but it's like I just feel like if you lay down $220 here in the US, or was like 300 some in Canada, if you have a 6 card shot at getting your money back, it seems like it's gonna be pretty tough sledding at that point, isn't it? I would really lucky.
Yeah, I would rather go into a case break and try to get my team. That's basically how I would do it.
Cards are nice though. There's a lot of cards that I'd be very interested on the singles market.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's something too. Is like you can love ripping wax like we do, and you don't have to open up every box that comes out, right? Yes. I mean, part of it is too, they release so many products. So unless you're a billionaire, you have to pick and choose the products that speak to you the most. And this is one that we decided to pass on. We'll look at some secondary market sales probably in the upcoming weeks. The only other thing I wanted to mention in new product releases, we got an update from Upper Deck today about kind of what's upcoming, looking ahead a little bit. So a week from now, we're going to have a Connor Bedard box set. We'll probably look at that on Monday, do a little overview. Did they do one? I know they had the Laffy one. I think I have a Laffy one for some strange reason. I don't know why.
Did they do a Beniers?
Or did they even do a Caulfield? Or who did they have done in? I don't know. So it'll be kind of interesting to look in. I'm sure there'll be maybe a couple surprises in that. It'll be probably a cheaper retail thing. Actually, the more experience we get in the hobby, I like these products, especially as you have whether like the Star Rookie box set or the Bedard box set, kind of a kid's thing.
Yeah.
Right. If you have a kid that loves Connor Bedard and wants a rookie card, and you can't afford $1,000 for a Young Guns, I think these are really good alternatives to that. Then beyond that, in a couple weeks from now, we're gonna have 2023-24 Black Diamonds, so another big 2023-24 release.
Yep.
We were looking at that the other night. It looks like pretty spendy. I'm sure the checklist will be out soon, so we'll do a deep dive into that. And then a week later, we go back, alternating to 2022. So the Beniers, Slavkovsky, Boldy, Rossi.
Will anyone buy this? Will anyone buy Ultimate Collection?
Ultimate
22-23.
Yeah, we'll see. It'd be very interesting. Comes out basically right during the expo. Yeah. Maybe that was a strategery of theirs there. And then Metal Universe Champions comes out the same day, which always has a couple unlicensed hockey cards in it.
Yep.
So there's your updated calendar. Okay, Troy, we're going to move on to our PWCC Weekly Preview. They are a sponsor of our show. We're super thankful to them for their support. The April premiere auction begins this Thursday. It'll run for 2 weeks. You think we'll see a Bedsy or two in there, Troy?
Maybe
a big one.
They don't.
That was the last premiere, wasn't it, right?
I thought they had a preview out there, but I was wrong.
They don't do previews for premieres, and I always wondered why. Maybe I want to ask them why there must be a thought behind it. I guess it does kind of make it fun though, because the first Thursday of the month when it goes live, I always check it out right away and try to see what's in there. So again, that'll be live tonight. You'll want to check that out. See what cool hockey cards are available to bid on. I think the premiere auction runs 2 weeks, so it'll run Thursday Starts Thursday and ends the following 14 days later. Also, don't sleep, Troy, on the PWCC fixed price marketplace. More than 5,400 hockey cards are available right now there to place or buy or place offers on. And then, of course, everything in the PWCC ecosystem is available at pwccmarketplace.com. But we're here to talk about the weekly auction. Ends this upcoming Sunday night. There's no better way, Troy, to follow and participate in the end of the auction each week while you're bidding than tuning into our PWCC Weekly Auction Hockey Watch Party we do with Jeremy Lee each Sunday night on his YouTube channel, Sports Cards Live. Remember, that starts at 8:30 Central. We, though, have picked out our favorites from the current weekly in both vintage and modern. And we're going to start with the vintage cards that stood out to us. I get excited to talk about these cards every week because this first one, I had a hard time.
I had no idea. I had no idea what this was.
It's a 1970 OPG Bobby Orr Deckle Edge PSA 7. First, I'm like, what incarnations are these cards, Troy? Deckle Edge? What the heck is a Deckle Edge?
Yeah.
Not a lot of info out there. It was a little hard to find some stuff.
Was it in Vintage Hockey Collector book?
Yeah, sneakily. No, not sneakily. I just didn't know where it fit into sets, and which sounds very vague, but I'll explain in a second. So yeah, I'd look up the definition of Deckle Edge. It's not French. Unfamiliar term to me. According to the internet, which is never wrong, a Deckle Edge is the rough, uncut edge of a sheet of paper formed by a deckle.
Okay.
The edges look like an exaggerated version of an OPG rough cut, like a super rough cut. So, well, don't you love like when you look up a definition and you end up having to look up a word in the definition? Like, so okay, so what's a deckle?
Yeah.
Right, a deckle is a device in a paper making machine that's used for limiting the size of the sheet, consisting of a continuous belt on either side of the wire.
I still don't know what it is.
I don't either, but I heard wire and edge and deckle. So I don't know. Is there more wire controversy now?
There we go.
But the more you know, Troy, I guess the more you know, right? Next piece of info I learned is that these are considered photos and not cards. So now I was super confused. And I'm like, is this like a one-off thing? Or how did these... And I started trying to look around, ask around. And eventually I was able to learn about these cards through TCDB, which I know you've been a huge fan of for a while. Very underrated, maybe, in hockey research parlance, right? But I definitely recommend TCDB. So here's what I found out. There are 48 total photo card thingies, whatever we call them, in the 1970-71 OPG Deckle Edge set. So in addition to Bobby O, there's players like Gordie Howe, Jean Beliveau, Rod Gilbert, the Esposito Bros are in there, Bobby Hull, Henri Richard, Frank Mahovlich, and weirdly enough, the no Trey Fix-Wolanski.
Well, that's
which surprised me because he's in every box I open these days. So I'll just assume he's been in every hockey set ever made.
If you're watching on YouTube,
yeah,
Trey Fix-Wolanski, 51 Retro Parky, baby.
And shake this guy. I love how we all have that guy too. Like you could probably talk to everybody that's listening or watching, and it's not Trey Fix-Wolanski, but it's like Jacob Bernard Docker, or there's
Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly, right? So at PSA 7, I was curious, of course, about the population count of these cards or photos, whatever they are. Looked it up. 123 copies have been graded. PSA 7 pop is 26. There's 44 graded higher, 33 PSA 8s, 1 PSA 8.5, 10 PSA 9s, 0 PSA 10s. So the card portrait photo thing.
How could it ever get a 10 with those edges? Like, what's the perfect deckle edge?
It blows my mind. But, okay, now digging into the photo itself.
Yeah.
How happy is Bobby Orr in this photo?
Looks super happy.
Yeah, it's almost like he got lucky that morning playing backgammon or something like that.
Won some money.
He looks super happy. I mean, it's crazy. He's like, I don't know, like what they were talking about, what he was thinking about. Yeah. The photo is black and white. It has the deckle edge, which of course we're all very familiar with now. And like you, I have zero clue how PSA grades corners and edges on the card. Now it is off in centering, it's like off to the right, off to the top from top bottom perspective. The coolest thing about this, like whether card, photo, whatever you consider it, is the auto, it's got a facsimile auto, but it's kind of got like a blue hue to it, and it really pops on.
I've never seen a period after his name though. So that's a period. So it says Bobby Orr, period.
So do you know where these, like, how they came to be or where people got them?
No.
Really interesting. It was in 1970-71 OPC Series 2. Basically, it was one of the first inserts. So there's one in every pack.
Okay.
But it's not considered a card. It's considered a photo.
That's weird.
And it kind of got me thinking. I didn't have time to do the research, but could this be like one of the first inserts? You know, if you're an insert guy or gal, collector, person. So, yeah. So, I don't know, Troy, if you're a Bobby Orr collector, probably a cool pickup.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a very, unique. If you're into Happy Bobby, right, you might like it. Last sale of the 1970-71 OPG Bobby Orr Deckle Edge PSA 7, $180 this past December. All-time high, $240 from May of 2023. You got a current bid?
$41.
Or you got the next card?
I do got the next card. And here we go. 1972 OPG, Josh. Butch Goring, number 56, PSA 8.
I've never seen that card in my life.
Oh my gosh. Do you know who Butch Goring is? I remember watching Butch in the early 80s, mid 80s.
Can I just say something right now?
Yeah.
This looks more like a wrestling card to me than a hockey. Isn't that kind of like a wrestling? Like he's got like the blue steel sort of vibe.
I don't know. Hide your women around him, because holy cow, he's got the stiff.
You think he's cute?
He looks like a handsome man.
All right.
Maybe not as he got older, but all right. So guy we never talk about, but I loved Butch Goring when I was growing up. Played for the Islanders. Actually, I should say really good player. Part of some pretty good New York Islander teams in the 80s.
Yeah.
And let's start with I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to look at the cassette, then Butch Goring, then we'll finish with the card. So from the set, it's a 1972 OPG. So I went to Bobby Burrell's vintage hockey book, collector book, because that's where I get all my good info on these sets. And so 72, 73 OPG started with the first series of 110 cards, Josh, with an insert set of 22 all-star push-out cards that were die cut. Then the second series contained 99 cards with an insert set of 28 Canadian all-star cards.
Okay.
The third and final series of 132 cards featured players in both the NHL and the upstart WHA, and added another insert set of 30 die-cut stick-on team crest of all NHL and WHA teams. It's so wild that they put two leagues in a set. Yeah. Think that would happen now? Some upstart tries to come after the NHL. They're like, okay, you can put those cards in. No, NHL's got the exclusive, but pretty wild. Final count of the set was 341 cards. They are the standard 3.5 by 2.5. Some additional information. I really like the design of these. Card fronts feature a player. There's solid colored background, yellow stripe running below the picture, features the player's name and logo. Team name runs vertically up the left side of the card. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. On the back, Josh, as I'm a connoisseur of the back of hockey cards. I love this. Orange stripe runs across the back of the top, gives the card number as well as the player's name and position. We have a separate orange block that contains vital stats, and we have a cartoon. We always, you have a good back when it has a cartoon, and it has a little cartoon about the player. This one says Butch is a recent bridegroom. I've never heard of
bridesmaid.
I've never heard of a bridegroom. I mean, groomsman is what we would call it now.
Sorry, you're a fan of the overall set design 1972-73?
I do. I think it's cool. It's unique. I think it's one of those you look at and you know immediately what it is. It's a little wild, got tan. It's not a normal choice. But I think it looks really good. I love the cartoon.
I think on our PWCC show, Jeremy Lee said it's his least favorite. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well,
do you guys want to have no internet beef? We're
gonna have beef. We're gonna have beef. No, I think it looks cool. I love the backs. I really
backs are awesome. I love the back. I don't know. I don't know about huge departure from. Well, I was gonna say I thought I was gonna say 71.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
All right. Then finally, I got some little more information. Cardboard Connection which disaster of a site, says there were no notable rookies in this set, which I take great offense to, as Gilles Meloche was a rookie in this set. And if people don't know who Gilles Meloche is, you should. It's this guy for the Minnesota Wild. I loved Gilles Meloche, but I remember I got a SP Signature Edition Legends. I think California Dave. No, was it?
Yeah. California Dave
got me. Traded a card.
Wait,
it's also this guy.
Can we go back to the North Stars photo?
Yeah,
I have like 9,000 questions. I'm gonna ask like 2. That puck is going right for his head, right? I mean, I
think he saved it and it's going to the corner. Because look how this is the crease. He's far out. Made a huge
Where's the net?
That's back. Oh, you can't see it. So this is the crease. See where my mouse is? That's the crease. So net's going to be that way.
I don't think I've ever seen a goalie make a save where you literally can't see any part of the net.
They had to come out. He had to make himself big. But again, I will say this 100 times. This is what a goalie should look like. I want an NHL goalie of today to look like this. And then also he played for the I think he started with California Golden Seals. Here he is in net with the sweet waffle blocker.
Yeah.
And then here's the Gilles Meloche card. So don't tell me there's no notable rookies. Gilles Meloche is in this. He's my notable rookie, dang it.
So you're going to have internet feud with Jeremy Lee. You're going to have internet feud with Cardboard Connection. Jeez, Troy, you're getting very aggressive.
Yeah, I'm getting aggressive. All right. So a little on Butch Goring. Robert Thomas Goring. He's from St.
Boniface,
Manitoba. I always want to say, I'm so literal when I read it. I want to say Boniface.
Can I ask a question about his name, though?
Yes.
Is Butch like a standard shortened version of Robert, or like?
Oh, I have no clue.
I've never known that.
Yeah, Butch.
Like, how do you get the name? You know how like Richard is Dick sort of thing, or Robert is Bob.
Yeah, Bob's my uncle, or Bob's your uncle.
I don't know. Bob's my uncle. Okay, we'll move on.
Yeah. Anyways, 4-time Stanley Cup winner with the Islanders during their dynasty run in the early 80s, which they also beat the North Stars in one of those Stanley Cup finals. He's a one-time Bill Masterton winner, one-time Lady Byng winner, one-time Conn Smythe winner, Josh.
There you go.
375 goals, 513 assists for 888 points in 1,107 games played over a 16-season NHL career. Played for the Kings, the Islanders, and the Bruins. His number 91, Josh, is retired by the New York Islanders in 2020. Goring was known as the final piece of the puzzle that allowed the Islanders to create a dynasty and win 4 cups in a row. He is not in the Hall of Fame, but he probably should be. So now I'm going to have more beef with the Hall of Fame. Reading up on this guy, boy, he has a strong case to be in the Hall of Fame, but we'll see. You never know. Lanny McDonald's all grumpy about everything. Fun facts, Josh. Career penalty minutes of 102, which is the lowest total in penalty minutes for any NHL skater who has played more than 1,000 games. He has less penalty minutes than Martin Brodeur.
Wow.
Go figure that one. Also, one of the absolute best helmets ever. It's the Sven Tumba endorsed Spaps brand helmet. That's what it was called. Just awesome. While he did have the best helmet ever, he was known for having the worst fashion sense in the NHL. Little story about that. Him and his roommate, their hotel room got broken into on the road.
Yeah.
The thief stole all his roommate's clothes, left all of Goring's clothes, and people think because it was so bad. Like his fashion sense was so bad that the guy or whoever stole it didn't want it. And then final fun fact, Mike Bossy states Goring started the trend of growing a beard during the NHL playoffs. However, this is debated by others.
Can I enter maybe like a maybe fun fact? Because I'm going off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Is this the guy that's like in the big feud with Paul Bissonnette?
Oh, is he? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, because Bissonnette, I think, was dogging Islanders fans, and then Butch Goring got all upset, and they got into like a Twitter fight, and it's actually pretty funny. Like Goring was like going hard at Bissonnette?
Oh, I do not know. But all right, here's Butch. Here's Butch again. So the card itself, it's PSA 8, looks really nice. Absolutely love the yellow Kings jersey with the sweet looking crown on front. We got rough cut at the top, Josh. Dull blades. Corners look good. There's some minimal wear if you kind of zoom in. I mean,
sure.
just a little bit of maybe wear on the corners. Really nice coloring. Centering looks good from what I can tell. I mean, top looks good. Sides look good. I don't know. And just really an overall nice looking card. PSA 8 pop of this card is 55 with 15 graded higher. Recent sale of a PSA 8 I could find was on May 30th of last year via eBay. Verified Terror Peak for $30 US. Current bid is $6 US. And again, I think it's a good looking card.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last vintage card we're going to talk about on today's show is a 1911 C55 George Vezina rookie card. It's a PSA 4. First thing I got to do, like right out the gate, is say that if you're interested in this card, go to PWCC, look at the condition. I think it has the card has really good eye appeal. Jeremy and I previewed this on our last YouTube show. There's some staining on it. Looks like some paper loss. I don't know if it's a 4. I'm not a pre-war card grader, but maybe I would say that the grade is a little suspect. And so you want to bid according to that and do your research. This is the only thing. I just don't want to come off as blanketly endorsing this card. If some people think that maybe, the grade isn't what they would have graded it. So I just want people to make up their own minds there. But it is an awesome card. Nonetheless, iconic card. And probably one of the most important cards that there is. Or maybe top 5, top 10 all-time iconic cards in all of hockey. But back to I always mentioned there's staining on the card, rounded corners, paper loss. Card is off-centered a little bit to the left, maybe a touch to the top as well. But again, all in all, I mean, if you're listening, you're thinking, well, this maybe is not a very good-looking or low eye appeal card. It actually has pretty good eye appeal.
Yeah, because I mean, the image itself is pretty good. The staining looks like, I mean, there's a little bit on the name, and then the wear on the top and stuff. So if you can get around that, the card's still going to be a ton of money. I already know that.
Oh yeah. I just don't find any of the flaws distracting, and that's a big thing to me looking at these very old vintage cards. So looking at the PSA Pop Report, Troy, it's a PSA 4. The pop is 42, 68 higher graded copies. There's 9 PSA 4.5s, 30 PSA 5s, 2 PSA 5.5s, 16 PSA 6s, 1 PSA 6.5, 9 PSA 7s, and 1 PSA 8. That's the highest graded copy. Probably worth a lot of money.
Yes.
0 PSA 9s or 10s. George Vezina was a goalie, Troy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good one, too. Probably the first star hockey goalie.
Yeah, now, so good they named an award after him. Yeah. It's crazy.
He looks pretty serious. This is not like a happy George photo, like a happy Bobby.
Yeah.
Vezina played 16 seasons, Troy, with your Montreal Canadiens, 7 of which were in the National Hockey Association, followed by 9 in the National Hockey League. So was your family devastated when the NHA was disbanded?
Well, my family probably did. I'm the first one in my family to even know what hockey was. So
okay. This is kind of interesting. Vezina was the only goalie to play for the Canadiens between 1910 and 1925.
Yeah.
Was the first ever goalie to be credited with an assist, Troy. Some say he ushered in the era of offensive goaltending.
Nice.
Some might also say we're back in an era of offensive goaltending. Wait, read it wrong. I meant to say offensive goaltending. Spelled the same way, Troy.
Yeah.
Vezina made 5 Stanley Cup Finals, won twice. As you mentioned, he's the namesake of the Vezina Trophy, which is, of course, is awarded each year to the NHL's top goaltender. I don't want to say, we'll just say fact. This is not fun by any stretch. He actually died during his playing career in 1925 when he became ill with tuberculosis.
Ugh.
Was I think it came to a head in a game. Like he was like coughing up blood during a game and like
really?
passed out and then never played again. I did not know that about him. Last sale of a 1911 C55 George Vesna PSA 4 was $12,383 US at the end of January. All-time high is $15,343 in June of 2022. Get a current bid.
$9,250 US.
Is this a card you would want to own at some point?
Oh, I'd want to own it at some point for sure.
Yeah, but do you think it's like significant as a goalie guy?
For sure.
Would this be in like the top 5 goalie grails? Do you think in your like?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna switch over to modern. First card that I picked, Troy, is a 2015 Ultimate Collection Connor McDavid. It's an 05 Ultimate Rookie Tribute Auto. It's out of 175. And it's a PSA 10. I saw this. Well, I don't know. Do we call him like other Connor or old news Connor at this point?
Yeah.
Ricky Auto. It stood out to me mainly because I just think it's a really nice looking card. And if I wanted a McDavid Rookie Auto, that I would enjoy looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of made me think too, do we consider visual appeal enough when cards, right? Probably it's hard to talk about because it's like the most subjective thing. We've seen some cards that on paper, like looking at like the checklist or the stats, you would think, wow, this is like an amazing card. And then you see it in person and they look terrible. Who was it that we were at do you remember at the last Expos, the McDavid card? It was like a 101 patch auto or something like that, or 101 patch. And you're thinking, wow, McDavid 101, 3, and it was literally the worst design card we had ever seen.
Good. Yeah.
In our life. And it just, so, I think the visual appeal matters when looking at this stuff. And especially if you can find a card that would genuinely appeal to others, you think as well, that it's a card you can probably do pretty well on. Makes a big difference in auctions, I think. What I like about the card, though, and why it speaks to me, Troy, is the design is very clean. It's a vertical card. There's a upper body, upper torso shot of McDavid. The lower half is a prominent Ultimate Collection logo, but more importantly, and I love like when they have a dedicated, clean area to sign the auto. So the auto is like a focal point and looks really crisp on the card, and definitely in this card it does too. The PSA 10 grade, just the card was graded, not the auto. Auto looks fine. I mean, I can't imagine it wouldn't be a high grade.
Like one dot, but
yeah. I think too, like with McDavid's specific signature, he has the 97, which is really prominent on this card, and to me, kind of adds to the coolness factor of the card. It is a tribute to the 2005 design, so keep that in mind. I know some collectors are getting burned out on the whole tribute thing.
Yep.
I don't mind it because, again, I really like the design. But okay, we usually mention something about the player when we do these. So what else could we say about McDavid? We all know about him. I did find a trivia question for you, Troy, though.
Oh.
Where do you think Connor McDavid ranks all time in points per game average with a minimum of 500 career points? Do you think he's in the top 5, top 10, or top 20?
Can you tell me what his points per game is?
No.
Because I know Gretzky. Gretzky's like 1.9 something. Well, if I say top 20, I'm right. Because he has to be in the top 20. I'll say...
Yeah, poorly constructed question, but you get my gist.
I'll go... Well... All right. I want to say top 10, but I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna say top 5.
You're right.
Because McDavid, if I remember off the top of my head, he's got to be like 1.4, right?
I think this is going to be a little sad for you, Troy.
What?
So Gretzky is 1.921 points per game.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, I didn't even know you.
Lemieux is second all time with 1.883 points per game.
Yeah.
And McDavid is third all time.
Yeah, Bossy's got more goals per game, though.
Yeah, your guy Bossy down to number 4, 1.497. And then if you ever wondered like why Bobby Orr is such a big deal, 5th all time in points per game as a defenseman.
Wow. That's crazy.
1.393. So you like that trivia question?
I did.
That was a good one. Getting back to the card, it's out of 175 too, which I think Goldilocks Troy would think is just about right for balancing scarcity and affordability in McDavid autos. Yeah. it's like if it's out of 10, it's going to be thousands of dollars if it's not out of 1,000. So only one copy of the 2015 Ultimate Collection Connor McDavid 05 Tribute Ultimate Rookies Auto on a 175 PSA 10 has ever sold to date. Sold for $2,855 US in September 2020. I don't think it'll go that low this time. Nope, it's already higher. All-time high for any copy of this card was a BGS 9.5 that sold for $56.55 US in July 2022. And a few days ago, another BGS 9.5 copy sold for $2,658 US. Well, that's a good deal. You got a current bid?
$3,100 US.
All right, you got the next one.
All right, Josh. I guess I'm becoming a Leaf guy.
Can I ask you something though?
Yeah.
You had a different card originally, right?
I did.
Because I did not know any of those names, and it was like there's like 10,000 names that I was
it was
now that
it was the same set. It was a 2022-23 Leaf in the game used. It was like a Flyers greatest team card. And I started thinking about it and I was like, yeah, people, I mean, like Neil, our diehard Flyers, people will know all the guys, but everyone else will know maybe one or two, I thought. So I was just like, I'll do this card instead. Because I kind of missed this one, and this one's a little weird to me, so I kind of want to do it and talk about it.
There's something very weird, and I
don't worry, I mentioned it.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah, so it's a 2022 Leaf in the game, and the title says Lemieux, Messier, Gordie Howe, Alexander Ovechkin patch 8 out of 8. It's got NBA authentication. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. It's the official name of the card is a game used quad relic, so it has game used memorabilia from Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, Alexander Ovechkin. So let's start with that. And again, it jumped out 4 great players, obviously, but then it just gets kind of odd because you look at the actual pictures. We have a nice picture of Lemieux. We have a nice picture of Messier. Then we got Gordie Howe.
Happy Gordie.
Then Ovi just gets the back of his jersey for a pick for the picture. And I'm like, is there a licensing issue or what is going on? Why is Ovi's? Why
it has to be an NIL issue, right? That they don't have like the name, image, likeness.
But
with Ovi,
but to use his name, it's right there, Alexander Ovechkin. How can you use his name? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm going way off the deep end, but to me, it's kind of bonkers. Where you have great picture of Howe, Messier, Lemieux, and then here's a jersey in the back of the jersey.
But it's not even it's not just a jersey. It's a stripped down. Like it's just white jersey with a red 8 on it.
Yeah, because on the back of the jersey or on the back of the card, it does say it's memorabilia card. On the front are pieces of game used memorabilia, so that these little chunks are little napkin patches, whatever you want to call them. And to me, it's just a wild card. It has game used memorabilia from great players. Now, what is the actual piece of material? Obviously, it's from a jersey, but then I look at the Messier one, and I'm like, what is this? It like looks teal. And I'm like, maybe it's an all-star jersey because they did have teal all-star jerseys at one point.
That was the 90s.
Yeah. And then I was like, he did play for Vancouver, so maybe they had a tealish color once or something, but that one just looks kind of odd. But I think it's probably an all-star jersey. And again, the card's numbered out of 8, so that's good. It's rare, but this is Leaf, so they can't do anything normal. If you look at the parallels, they do the out of 46 or less, out of 12 or less. So it's just ridiculous sometimes how they do things. But again, to the right collector, I think this card can make sense. Or maybe do a younger,
super cheap way to have game used memorabilia from Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, and Alexander Ovechkin. Here's my question. Why didn't they just hire the artist that did the Nightmare on Elm Street, Rayom
picture and draw it? Yeah, I don't know.
Scare the crap out of Gordie Howe. So scare the smile off his face.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, like you said, I mean, the card looks great. Again, that's my whole point with this card. It's going to be a fairly cheap way to get into a great card or a card with great NHL players. Maybe it's something you get to a kid or a starting collector. This would be really cool to have. Condition, everything looks great, but the corners, obviously the black is wearing off. You can see on each corner, there's whitening, I'll call it. But besides that, looks pretty good. Again, it's authenticated, not graded or anything. Last sale of the out of 8 copy of this card I could find was on eBay, verified in Terapeak on October 18th of last year for $29.99 US. Current bid, Josh, is $8 US right now.
See, that's what's wild about these. Like, if you think just on face value, again, game used jersey patch from Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, and Alexander Ovechkin, $30. It almost doesn't. But for like most collectors' sensibilities, there's just like so many.
There's some weird things
about this card.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, last card.
Sorry, I was just saying one thing. I think they do a good job besides the jersey hiding the logo or not. Like, they do a good job. When it's a smaller picture, it's a lot easier to hide it. Obviously, there's probably logos on the helmet you're not seeing, but
he had to have said, "Don't use my face."
It had to be. It had to be a licensing thing. It's just crazy.
Our last card that I picked, I think is kind of a little bit of an odd one too. I mean, nothing really wrong with the card design. It's just odd seeing the player, in this case, Eric Lindros. 2005 06 Black Diamond, double ruby out of 100 PSA 8. He's in the Leafs uniform.
Yep.
I was like, whoa, well, that's kind of strange. So how it worked like in 2005 is Black Diamond, their cards, they had either 1, 2, 3, or 4 diamonds in the bottom. And the double diamond treatment for Lindros puts the card as the second most common. So I think there's 210 cards in the set. Single diamond card numbers were cards 1 through 85, and they're just randomly were put in packs. Doubles, like the case of this Lindros, were cards 85 through 126 and were 1 in 4 packs.
Okay.
Triples were cards 127 through 169, 1 in 8 packs. And then the most exclusive or rarest ones were the quad diamonds, cards number 169 through 210, 1 in 24 packs. So like an Ovechkin rookie would be a quad diamond from the same year. Then there were parallels. There's a ruby out of 100, emerald out of 25, and gold out of 10. So this is the Lindros ruby out of 100. Card is number 42 out of 100, so it's not like it's a jersey number or anything like that. And Troy, 2005-06 was the one season that Lindros would actually play with the Maple Leafs. I don't know if you've had this thought before looking at older cards, but given how behind Upper Deck is with updating players that move teams, like how many years was Marc-Andre Fleury on the Wild before there was a Wild? And every set that came out, he was either in Vegas still or Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Well, this card is a 2005-06, and that's the only year Lindros played for the Maple Leafs. So they were much better about like right away updating the player's new team. That season, he played 33 games with the Leafs, had 11 goals, 11 assists for 22 points. I look at this card, I see Lindros in a Maple Leafs jersey, and it's just like odd. So his career started with 8 seasons in Philadelphia, followed by 4 in New York, and then 1 in Toronto, and then he had 1 final season in Dallas in 2006-07. All right, I got another trivia, right? So here's your Eric Lindros trivia question, Troy.
All right.
How many seasons did Lindros score 50 or more goals? Did he do it 3 times, twice, once, or 0?
Was he ever healthy enough to play enough games to score 50 goals? I remember doing. I think we looked at Lindros once. I don't remember him scoring. I know he scored 40. I'm gonna say 0.
You're right. Gosh, you're 2 for 2.
Well, I remember I looked up Lindros one time for something we were doing, and I remember that kind of stuck in my head. I knew he never. I mean, I knew he didn't ever score a lot of goals in a season. Well, I mean, 40 is a lot, or whatever his high is. I don't know what it is.
He had 0 times he had 50 goals. He had 40 goals 4 times. His highest total in a season was 47 in 1996-97. So Zach Hyman is a better hockey player. That's what we've learned. We learned nothing on this show. No, just kidding. Only been 2 public sales of any copy of this card, both graded or raw. Last one was this past November, Troy, when it sold. Wait for it. $8.
Wow.
Prior to that, you had to go all the way back to 2005 and that was a raw copy when another raw copy sold for $13. So I don't know how like your process for picking these cards is, but I never comp them before. I just pick out cards.
Oh yeah, I never look at the value to make that decision.
This is the first time I picked a card where I'm like, it's only worth $8. I mean, I think it's out of 100.
Yeah,
it's kind of got the novelty of Lindros playing for the Maple Leafs. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool card, and if it speaks to you, you're gonna get it pretty dang cheap. You got a current bid?
$7.
Ooh, we could have an all-time high. Record sale post incoming.
You should do it.
Well, personal pickups. We're both hockey card losers.
War chesting for the Expo.
I tried to buy a card.
What'd you try to buy?
I made a mistake. I'm mad at myself.
What a highlight.
There was a what are they called? It's from 2012 for retro, my favorite set. It's like something theaters. They're like cards that have like the whole front is foiled. There's a Mario Lemieux out of 100. That was his jersey number 66. It was a BGS 8.5. I had bid 69. The current bid was 70. I was going to snipe it. One of the edges was a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to not bid. And then, of course, it was one for $70. And raw, they go for like 120. And this was the jersey number.
Oh.
I really like the card. And I talked myself out of it. And now I'm mad.
I thought, didn't our friend California Dave, was he going to sell you highlighters?
No,
City Crosby.
Bullying.
Bullying.
That's our show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating, review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, want to support us, want to chat with us every day on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. The link is in the show description, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast app. It's in our Instagram and TikTok profiles. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link, or go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We're on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow Podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. Have an awesome weekend, and we will see you all on Monday.